Okay, good morning. One of the things that I know this is going to kind of be a remake because we had some technical difficulties when I was in Las Vegas. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit today about the welcome kits, how to use them more effectively, and basically expanding on what Gary sent out to you all with an email where he talked a little bit about how these welcome kits could be used and some of the things that we need you to do and how we've designed them to be able to help you build your business. And so we're going to expand on that, and we're going to talk about some specific things that can be done to really make it more effective and to really help you build your sphere and grow your business. So I want to start by doing a little quick review of what the welcome kits are, whether we're talking about the online welcome kit or the PCS welcome kit. I'm going to bring it over here so you can see. This is what we're talking about with the welcome kit. These are, and we've added some of the things that you talked with us about since last time. We've added the ability to share things via Facebook and Twitter and all that, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. But we're also going to we're going to go through some specifics on how to make it more effective in terms of what you do, and really take it to the level where these kind of good things that we do can really benefit your business. So we're going to talk about what they are. We went through what they are, what they do. Basically, they're on the online version of what you would be normally sending out to somebody with a relocation kit. And we're going to we also need to go over why they're branded for you and not the brokerage. The brokerage, it's important that we have a big brand for the real estate group to make it easy to list properties and to make it very recognizable and to make it a very known brand in the area, and that's huge. And it's a huge advantage that you all have, is that together as a team you work far more efficiently than you might otherwise. And that's good. That's what it's all about. But the other piece of that puzzle is that there's a lot of people that they're gonna interact with, and you're branded as you. So if I was Marge Worley, for example, you're going to send these welcome kits to people that you already know, or friends of people, friends of people that you already know. And so they need to be branded for you. They need to connect people to you. And I'll bring the welcome kit back in. That's why we did things when we built these welcome kits, like adding the quick search. When you do a quick search for Chesapeake, and let's just say 350 to 400,000, and you do a search, why, if you're Marion England, it takes it to her site. It takes it to marionengland.realestategrp.com in her case. And if you had a premium, one of the premium Treg websites where it has margeworley.com, it takes you there. The whole purpose behind doing those kind of things is to make sure that we get the people connected in the right way so that the leads go to you. Want to talk a little bit about military relocation versus traditional relocation. And what I mean by that is this. If a military relocation, a lot of times they tend to have a date certain by which they're going to come. So when they know they've received their orders and they know that on such and such a date they're going to report to Norfolk or wherever. And that's important versus traditional relocation, because in traditional they tend to take a little more time, and they tend to have the flexibility. And so, especially if they're doing something like buying a vacation home or a second home, but even if they're coming with a trailing spouse and they've got a job here, a lot of times they come in and they're able to rent or whatever for a few months while they sell their existing home, and there's kind of this lag time that goes on, and that's important as well. But there's another distinction that I want to go into on that, and that is this. In a military relocation, they're much more likely to tell their friends or pass their friends. It's a much more close-knit community, and they're much more likely, if you provide them something that it has value and helps people understand that you care about them, you understand them and their needs, you're much more likely to get to build your sphere more quickly by having their friends and other folks that are coming in the towards the Hampton Roads really join in and be a part of the picture. So those are two distinct differences, and what we're going to try and do is talk about those and how you might want to use the relocation kits or the welcome kits, both the military version and the traditional one, to connect with people. And I want to go back a little deeper. We talked about what the secret was to effectively using these welcome kits last time. And one of them was to create ways for you to send them out to people a little bit at a time. We talked about Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs, the example I gave you of his was when he had the iPod. And, he would trickle a little bit of information at a time. The first piece of information was, well, you can listen to music anywhere, right? And the second piece of information was, well, you can store up to 120 songs, and then you can have basically your entire music library with you. And then the third piece of the puzzle was, and guess what? It's on something that's the size of just that could fit in the palm of your hand, and you could just put it on your belt and listen to it wherever you go, because it's so small. So each of those things, instead of just rolling it up into one big lump and going, hey, there's this cool thing and here's what it does and here's how it works, he realized that people have short attention spans. He realized that if you just give it to them a little bit at a time and you hit them one feature and one benefit at a time, the likelihood is that more people will talk about it. It'll create more buzz. And so I want to follow that example a little bit. The other thing that Steve Jobs did right with things like the iPod was he made it easy for them to share the information with their friends. Of course he had the advantage of doing mass marketing, but he connected with people and made it easy for them with email and other things to send stuff on to their friends, and I think that's key here as well. If we make it easy for them to share the relocation kit with their friends, if you think back in time, what happened in the old days, the old days like 5 years ago, we used to get to the end of a transaction and then we'd ask somebody for a referral. Well, gee, I'd really love, at the closing table after you're done and everybody's happy and everything, well, I would really love for you to if you've if I've been of service to you, please feel free to refer me to your friends. Would you be okay with that? That sort of thing. And then we got to Brian Buffini, who was really doing more of the actively building a referral network and using that to build your sphere. And he was visionary in getting that going and that done. And now we're talking about the online version of that, which is basically, I'm going to give you an online item of value, and notice the similarity. He sent items of value via just pop buys or whatever he did. And what you're going to be, doing what you do online is send them an online item of value. It's the same sort of thing. And that's what this is. This is one more online item of value that you have the ability to have them send out to their friends, that basically refers you to their friends and increases your sphere of influence. Okay, let's start by talking about Facebook. In the email that Gary sent out, he talked about some ways that we can share the online relocation kit with friends, and one of them that he mentioned was Facebook. And I'm going to pull this back up. And one of the things that we've added, we didn't just add Facebook. We added a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. There's Facebook. There's Google+. There's Twitter. Any of the basic ones that they have, you can actually share it via email this way, and you can actually have a place where you can bookmark it to your browser. So it's a pretty what we've inserted in here. And notice we didn't wait for an invitation. We said share this with friends, and we just put it right there on the top so they could see it. It's not something that is subtle. And it starts with a verb. So what we're trying to do is really work with people to to help them have the opportunity to share it. And that's important. The second piece of this whole share it with a friend thing is when they share it on Facebook, so you're waiting, it's kind of passive, you're waiting for them to share it. There are some other things that you can do, and I want to talk about some more active techniques that you can use because it's important. So let's go back. I'm going to minimize this really fast and move it out of the way. If you think about how social media works, one of the things that you can do to get Facebook friends to share this is to ask questions, is to ask for help, and maybe it's to ask for input, and maybe it's to ask a favor. So let me give you some examples of that. If you decide if you put on your Facebook, I need some help, we just created this online relocation kit, could you please go through it and tell me what you think? That's asking for their help, right? It's also asking for their input. So can you give me some feedback on it? Okay? And it's asking a favor of them. And everything that you do, if you go through and look at your Facebook, how many times when you write something on your wall does it end in a period? And how many times should it probably end in a question mark? It's one of my favorite techniques, and we've talked about it here in the past, but I really want to apply it to the online welcome kits. If you start by asking a question, if you start by saying, can you help me with something here? Or can you give me a little feedback here? Question mark. A lot of times the conversation will begin there. People will get involved in it that way. If you make a statement, I've got this great relocation kit, the chances are they're just going to gloss over and they're going to not really pick up on it. But if you ask a question, it's something that they have to answer, and it just sits out there waiting for them to answer it. And that's really, really, really super important. So as we start to promote these, and again, these aren't ready to go yet, but once we roll them out, it's going to be huge. It's going to be important that you start asking questions on Facebook. Are you looking for a job? Remember one of the things that we talked about on there. If are you looking for work? We have a section, and just share the link with them, and share the link right here. And the way that you do that obviously is just click the link, right click, copy it, and share the link on Facebook. Or just share this page right here. Just click there and click on the Facebook. And I don't have my Facebook, I'm not sure that I'm logged in yet, but if you're not logged in, what it does, it just has you log in, and then once you do, it just puts it right on your wall for you. So it's really an easy thing to do, right? And that's all you have to do in order to share it is just click on that. For those of you who might be on Twitter, it's the same thing. You're basically sharing the link just by clicking this. It picks up on the fact that it's talking about this link, so you don't even have to copy and paste it if you don't want to. If you want to, you can. If you want to email it, you just click on the little email, share via email. Any way that you want to share it. And for those who are doing Google+, it's the same story there as well. We're trying to make it as simple as possible to share it, if that's how you want to approach it. Realize when you write on your wall, you are sharing it with yourself and with all the people that are connecting right with you. If you write on someone else's wall and you have their permission, they're one of those people that, lets that show up. If you write on someone else's wall, then you are able to tell them about it. So if you write on their wall and say, listen, if you know somebody who's looking for a local job site, or looking for jobs here locally, here's a resource. Boom. Put it in there. You'll be amazed at how many people will actually show up and go in here. And if you write on their wall with it in Facebook, their friends will all see it. Okay? And that's the key. Is for example, many of you, there's more than a few of you that are friends with me on Facebook. Well, you're friends with me, but do you know all of my friends? The chances are no, you don't, not at all. Because I have about 500 friends on Facebook. Not bragging, just do. And it's easy for you. If you writing on my wall, the chances are you're going to connect with some of those people that may not have known you otherwise, and that's what the goal is here. So that's the whole idea behind sharing stuff on Facebook is doing that. Now, there's another piece to this, and I'm going to minimize this and get it out of the way. We're going to be getting this in and out of the way a lot today. There's another little piece of how to do this. You can ask questions, and that's good. And asking asking is the primary way to start the conversation. And that. But there's another piece of this, and that's creating a schedule to share it. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to blast out to people all at once. You want to kind of trickle it in. So there are some methods on Facebook where it's blasting it out all at once. It would be kind of like sending an email out to your entire sphere, which is not bad. Okay? That's a good thing. The other approach, though, that can get you a lot of people very quickly. The individual approach can connect you with friends with their friends, and you need both. Both of those approaches work together. So, for example, if I really wanted to go in and blast out an entire everything out to my sphere, what I may say is once every couple of weeks, I may put something in there about if you know someone who's moving into the neighborhood, here's an online resource for you. Now that brings me to another point that I want to make, and I want to show you a couple of ways of doing it. One of the things that Gary suggested in his email, and I think it's a great idea, and we talked about it a little bit in the past, but these are set up so that it's marionengland.onlinewelcomekit.com, on the home page here, or it's marionengland.pcswelcomekit.com. Well, a lot of times that's a fairly long thing, and people might or might not be able to remember that. And so to make it easy, one of the best ways to do it is to simply put it on your TREG website, put a big old link to it, and put it right on your home page. So what I'm going to do is I've pulled up, actually I think this is Gary's hrrealestateconnection.com. I've pulled this up. I'm not going to actually do it, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So what you can do is you can put checkout, and you log in first, right? And this is the home page. That's the first thing that pops up. It's under CMS, and it's the home page. Well, what we're going to do is just say check out our welcome kits. Oops, let's spell it right. Welcome kits. And then just put online welcome kit and military welcome kit. And we could format it a little bit, right? And for those who aren't used to building pages, I recommend you go to Garrett's class where he talks about how to, and he helps you build pages on your site. But the idea is, and again, Gary, if you're listening, don't worry. This is not. I'm not going to actually save this. But if you highlight this and under styles, you put, or not styles. I'm sorry. Under where it says paragraph, you put it as maybe a heading 2 or something like that, right? And then you put under here, you can put. It's just like working in Microsoft Word. You got an online welcome kit and a military welcome kit, or however you want to say it that fits your personality. There's not a right way to do this. And then what we do is you highlight this, and you see when I did that, if I go here, this little link thing isn't lit up. But if I highlight this, the link thing lights up, and I just click on that, and then all I have to do is type in http:// and marionengland.onlinewelcomekit.com, and the target you always want to put is open in a new window. You always want to do that, and then you just hit insert, and you see that, so it says check out our welcome kits, and it has the link there. So and you do the same thing with PCS welcome kit, right? So when somebody clicks on it, and again, I'm not going to save this, but the point is, by doing that, you create a way for yourself to really connect with people and make it easy for them. Because if you've got a premium website, let's just take Marge Worley for example. I like using Marge; she's fun. And if you take Marge Worley, her website is margeworley.com, right? So it's really easy for her to say, just go to my website, and just go to my website, and you'll see a link to the welcome kit, the online welcome kit. Or she can say, you'll just see the link to the military welcome kit or the PCS welcome kit, however you want to term it, and just click the link and it'll take you right to my online welcome kit. And the advantage of doing that are numerous. Number one, if they're already going to your website, that's really kind of what you want anyway, right? You really want them to, and I'm gonna go to this next one, where it says go to my website. They can see that it's easy. It's shorter. So if you just go to margeworley.com, it's an easy way to do it. And you can say it's right there on the front page. You want them to get accustomed to coming to your website anyway. That's what you want. You don't want them to go to the realestategrp.com. You want them to go to margeworley.com or mariananglin.realestategrp.com, because then when they sign up, the leads are yours. So what I recommend is yes, you want a link on your signature that goes to the relocation kit itself, but you also want them to, if you're giving them directions, you want to make it as easy as possible. The way to think about it is this: if you're out there and you ask for somebody for directions in there, to how to get to a certain landmark, and they give you, well, gosh, go down to 3 miles to this, and then make a right, and then go to this tree, and make a left, and then go to this old farmhouse. You'll see it; it's white, and make a right, and then go down 3 miles. And after about the third or fourth direction, your eyes kind of glaze over, and you're like, well, I'll just go a little closer, and then I'll find out, or worse yet, you'll just go, well, gosh, I'm gonna just go ahead and grab my GPS and plug in the coordinates and go from there. That's why you have to make things simple. As the customers changed a lot over the years. In the past, all they needed to know, they needed to have confidence in you. Now they need directions, and they need it easy, and their attention span is shorter than ever. And so you need to make it like drop dead, stupid simple, easy as pie to do. So if you have that go to my website, that's an easy way to do it. And that's why we want you to put a big link and make it prominent so they have a place to do it. And that way they go there, and you've got the online welcome kit ready for them to use. So the other thing that you need to be able to say is, if you can describe it in less than a sentence, then you're good to go. And not a big long run-on sentence. It needs to be something that's really easy. Oops. Okay. Another suggestion: put them on your signature, and in your advertising. Your email signature is one of the biggest things that you can do to drive traffic. It also is there naturally. You don't have to put it out there. People just naturally pick up on it. If you don't believe they click on your website from there, you can always go look at the analytics of it on the back end of your website. But believe it or not, it has far more of an effect because you're communicating with people. And maybe you're communicating with other realtors. Maybe you're communicating with an appraiser. Maybe you're communicating with a local banker. But if that's there and it's on your signature, and everywhere you go has a link to your website, has a link to your the 2 relocation kits, it's hugely important. Those are just easy, simple ways of doing things. Let's talk about, I want to go back up and talk a little bit more about developing a schedule to share stuff. A lot of times people ask me, well, what's appropriate? How much should I share? How often? And I think once every couple of weeks is probably about the best schedule that you can have to stick something into Facebook or stick something into an email, and send it out. We've actually tested it, and when you get much beyond that, what ends up happening is people use it ends up being too much too fast. And the other thing that people do is when someone asks you a question, be alert for opportunities. When they ask you a question about jobs, when they ask you a question about moving, when they ask you a question, and when they start those conversations, that's the time to volunteer and say, listen, let me send you my online welcome kit. It has a bunch of those resources that you're looking for. When they talk about schools, even if they're moving locally, this can be a resource for them. There's the mortgage calculators on there. All the little things that they might need are on there, and I think that's the key to it. And this is just part of having it ready to go. When you create a schedule to share, kind of plan it. That, you know, maybe the first part of the year is a good time to put a little bit about jobs in there. Maybe as they approach the end of the school year, you know, the spring, maybe that's a great time to talk about schools, because if they're in February, you know, the cake's pretty much in the oven. That's another difference between we talked a little bit about the differences right here between military and traditional. Is military relocation, they're going to be transferred when they're going to be transferred, and they have a schedule, and you know, BRAC and some of these other things have really affected some of that in some areas. But the traditional folks, it happens more often during the summer when they in between school years, and so if you're working in one of those kind of environments, you may want to send something out about school in May, or you know, or at a time when they're thinking, you know, as the spring market starts in. That's a great time to do it. The other thing is take a look at on the local private schools. I'm going to pull the I'm going to go back here, and we're going to pull up the welcome kit again. You'll notice that we have the My Tidewater Moms and the private school guide. If you go to a private school guide and you go to some of these, I'm going to pull it up so we can, you know, some of the different places here. They got high schools, so I'm just going to pull one up. So Cape Henry Collegiate School, great. There's oftentimes on some of these sites, and I'm hoping that there is on this one, that they have different times a year when they do their big recruiting drive. So this is capehenrycollegiate.org. Okay, so I'm going to go there, and you can see, for example, the upper school exams are here. Where is let's see if they have one on here. Sometimes they have, yeah, admissions. If you look at the application process, and you'll see the different dates on there. A lot of times, whether it's a Catholic school or a church-sponsored school, or whether it's a preparatory collegiate school like this, one of the things that they have is there's like a season when they do this. That right before that starts is the time to send out this, you know, send out something about that, because people are starting to look at it. They're starting to understand. They're starting to gather information, and you want to hit them at the right time. That's a key to this. So timing, you know, timing is everything in this market. And if you can hit them at the right time, it's also something that they will share. I've clicked through a bunch of stuff here. Oh, good grief! It's keeping me out of there. That's okay. But if you time it right, you can really get a lot further mileage. One of the things that I've noticed over the years in working with people in online marketing is the timing is far more important in determining how many people are going to share it, because anybody can invite all their friends on Facebook to go share stuff, right? But if you time it right to where it's really of a critical need, the chances are it'll go right out. It's the same thing if you wanted something, if you told a joke that was online, that was funny, that everybody passed around. If it was timely and it still had application, that was um, that's when people would share it. And I think that's the important part of doing this. So the keys to this is that we make sure that we time it right, that we remember the military relocation versus traditional, that we share these items of value. I would mix it in with other items of value as well. Put together a schedule. You know, in Valentine's Day, maybe there's something online that you want to put out there about your, you know, that's just fun that you can put out on Facebook. And maybe at the start of the new year, a Happy New Year message or a Christmas message, or however you want to do it, but mix in some stuff with these online welcome kits while that's going on, because that, let me click back here. I'm going to re-pull back up the PCS welcome kit. Okay, and by doing that, you know, start sending these out and keeping them in tune with the rhythm of the business of when people will actually utilize them, and you'll find that it's a lot more effective. Some other ways that you can do this that are pretty doggone good is if it's military, the pay chart and other military information, that has a time schedule to it as well. And we're going to keep these up to date, but when the new information comes out, when it's posted, when you see new information that's out there, and some of you are military spouses or retired military or any of those things, and you can see it as well. You know, when that new information comes out that's important to the community, take advantage of that. Add that in. Those are prime times for online marketing, because if you're in there first, everybody will share it. If you're in there second, they won't. They've already shared it. So it's important that you do that. So there are a lot of ways of doing that. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Next time around, we're going to talk about some more broad-based way of doing things and some more ways to make this of effect for you. Please keep in mind that these are not out there yet. It's still a work in progress. If you could do us a favor, if you could write some content for different places to see and things to do, we've already put a bunch of them in, and featured communities is what we really need. So if you live in a great community, you know, and if you are here, just click the refresh button a couple of times, and you'll see, wait for it, it's going to come up here, that it changes around each time, and it has different communities from around the area. We need more of those, and so please feel free to send us some stuff, and we'll be happy to put it in there. You don't need to write that much. It's not like you need to write something like War and Peace or anything. Just a paragraph or two about the different places, and we'll be happy to include it. We may edit it a little bit because we're editing some of our own stuff as we go, and happy to make that happen. So if there aren't any questions, we'll go ahead and close, and then again we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks, and have a great day.